Hello, long time no see. Well, as you can probably tell if you subscribe to this channel, I haven't uploaded in a little while. I've been ridiculously busy over the last couple of weeks, and I just doing one of these doing a full length review just takes a lot of time. To sit down and edit. I know editing doesn't take too long, but then uploading it and just making good content can take a bit of time, and I didn't want to rush things and just put out shitty content for the sake of it. So I thought I'd wait till I had some time in order to do a really good video rather than, just something average. I started doing a review the other week, but I was missing things out that I wanted to say and things like that. So I just took a bit of a step away for a minute, but got some content to upload now. But yesterday, King 810 released the song Heartbeats, the first song from their new album Suicide King, which drops 25th of January, I think it is. They dropped a video for this song last night too. I've heard the song quite a few times since then because it's quite strange. So I wanted it to grow on me and to listen to it. I'm going to do a bit of a breakdown of it today, just how I see it, and a track review. But yeah, I like King. I know King are a band that I pretty love-hate within the metal community. You either like them or you don't. Personally, I do. I've got their other two albums here. I've got Memoirs and the Petite Mort. However, then again, like those albums have been a bit hit or miss with people. People have either really got them, really grasped onto the meaning and the point of them, or they've completely missed the point and not understood what the albums are about. King have done some EPs as well. They did like a couple of EPs before these albums got released. They did Midwest Monsters EP. There was also the Midwest Monsters 2 EP that come out in between these albums, which was the more like hip hop electronic based one. And the last music we heard from King was an EP called Queen back in, I think it was December of last year. Which was more of a stripped down sort of classical EP, which I thought was quite cool. Very different for King, but worked really well. So I've always found King a very diverse band. They're able to go into all these different types of music. They've done metal, music. They've done like the classical stuff. They've incorporated hip hop. They've done a bit of electronic. So I was curious to see where King were going to go with this new stuff. And this song feels pretty different for King. So I'm going to play the track. I'm going to break down how I see it, and yeah, I'm going to do an overall review of my thoughts on the track.
Nothing give a dead man, nothing give a dead man a heartbeat. Nothing give a dead man a heartbeat. And we gotta wake the dead up, and we gotta wake the dead up now. There's just people in my city, and their demons, and they're running all around. Because nothing give a dead man, nothing give a dead man a heartbeat.
How can we give them something new that's serious but entertaining too?
So straight off the bat, David Gunn says about giving us something new and entertaining. Now, King have always said that they're not going to do the same thing twice, that they're going to mix it up each time. And I can instantly tell when I heard this track that they were going to mix it up, and they have done on this track as well. That you can tell straight away this album's going to sound pretty different for King. I think they're going to change it up from the Petite Mort, the previous record. I can see them trying some new things, mixing up their sound a bit. Then it goes into this sort of strange section which appears in the bridge later on as well. I'm not sure what it is. Almost sounds like some sort of like ritual thing, but it's got that sort of typical, simple but really heavy drum beat from King in the background. Very simple, but just hitting the drums really fucking hard, as Andrew Workman used to do. I know he's not in the band anymore. But I'm guessing he recorded this. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not sure what the whole situation is with King members and everything. But yeah, I'm interested to see who's going to join them. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The song starts pretty interestingly. This is the first song on the album as well. I looked at the track list yesterday. So this is going to be how the new King album opens. So I like that first verse here on Heartbeats. It instantly sounds like King there, with sort of low vocal delivery from David Gunn, almost spoken word. rather than sung, which I've heard in a lot of King stuff. And I like that because I feel like King's lyrics are pretty dark, pretty honest, and I feel like when they're delivered in such a way as that, then you really understand what he's saying and you really get the message very clear. The lyrics are: the wind blows, reliving the chain gang, the whole thing. The full moon, the war drums, looking for a pulse here if Mother Earth's got one. Now I really like that line, mentioning war drums, and like the full moon and stuff. I like that. But I love that, looking for a pulse here if Mother Earth's got one. I read that as we're just fucking up Mother Earth. In other words, we're killing it. Mother Earth may not even have a pulse. I see that as we're fucking up Earth. We're destroying nature. Yeah, that's how I see that line, and I really like that line as well. This is: how far down can we really go? Maybe all the way. Well, I don't know. But when you get there, tell him I sent you, and I want the army back that I lent him. Now I see that line as talking about Flint, obviously where King are from, and saying about the army back. I see that army as possibly a gang. That's how I read it anyway. Yeah, I see the army back that I lent him. I see that as gang members or like, you know, people close to him. Yeah, that's how I read that line anyway. Now this section here, when I heard it, I was like, this shit is going to explode, but I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know whether it's going to go into something like sort of maybe quite slow and heavy, like Heavy Lies the Crown on the Petite Mort, or it's going to go in something more fast paced. It does go more fast paced, but I didn't know how it was going to go. I think it's a very cool build up. It's quite unique. Almost reminds me of sort of like, you know, an animal loose, let off the chain. Like, this is going to be heavy. This is just going to be very dark and very brutally honest, like a lot of King's music is. Oh, so that chorus, I quite like it. It's quite strange, but I like it. And it's slightly different to what I've heard from King before. I can almost see the hip hop influence. It's very fast delivery, it's rhyming, but it's still got that sort of unique King element to it with the heavy delivery and quite genty guitars. I feel like that really helps to pack a punch for this chorus here. So the lyrics are: heartbeats like the earth is pulsating, and there are shovels tearing into the ground, and we gotta wake the dead up, and we gotta wake the dead up now. Like, there are people in my city, and they're demons, and they're running all around. It's enough to give a dead man a heartbeat. I feel like these lyrics work really well with the heavy, intense delivery of this chorus, and they're delivered in such a fast way. I feel like it works really well, and this is a very cool chorus. And one that's slightly different from what I've heard from King before. I feel like they're mixing it up again, and I like it. Okay, so before we go into the next chorus, we have a second verse. Now, I like this second verse. It's very dark. Again, it's got that sort of spoken word delivery from David. You know, which, I mean, we've heard in a lot of King before, but it almost sounds slightly different here. I really like this verse. It's got brutally honest lyrics, straight to the point, very easy to understand, and that works perfectly with the delivery that David has here. The lyrics are: I walk through the graveyard like the police walk through prisons, knowing that I put some of these boys here, but these boys aren't as forgiven. So that line there, those lines there, I see as obviously like a police officer would put somebody in prison, put an inmate in, and as he walks through the prison, he's seeing all these people that he's put in the prison. I see that as the narrator to this song walking through a graveyard and seeing all these people who he's killed. But in prison, I mean, you can change. You can maybe when you come out, there's a chance you'll be a better man. With here, the boys aren't as forgiving line. I see that as when you're dead, obviously you can't change. You can't become a better man, and that's how I read that line. The line "I dug him up because I missed him," that could be showing regret from having to kill him if it was in self-defense, or just regretting a decision of having to do that. And then it says, "And I was all in, and I'll soon join him, and we'll settle our difference." So I mean that could be relating to the afterlife, because there's a lot of religious themes throughout King's music. If you notice, in previous songs, I mean, there's quite a few on Petite Mort as well. I think a lot of references to God, and a lot of references to sort of praying. So the afterlife could work quite. That would make sense. Even the afterlife. Soon join him. I can see that as joining him in the afterlife, possibly because you're living in such a violent place. And we'll settle our difference. Obviously, then they'll reconnect. They'll see each other again. Okay, so here we link back to the part of the intro. Now I've got lyrics up on Genius here, and this is what it says. So if anyone knows what language that is, I'd appreciate you telling me. To me it seems like some sort of like chant or a ritual of some sort. I mean, obviously I'm not too sure on that, but that's the impression that I get when looking at those lines even. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that means, but it to me, I see that as some sort of chant or ritual. Here, there was also a heartbeat in the background, which I thought worked really well. Just something very simple, but it added a lot to the song. I like that. That little bridge section there worked really well, I think, with the chorus being played on quietly in the background. When it comes back in, it really helps to sort of hit you hard. I really like that. Really simple thing to do, but just works so well, because when it brings it back into that chorus, it just sounds so heavy. Alright, so that was the new King 810 track called Heartbeats off of the new album Suicide King. It's the opening track to the record. I think there's like 10 songs on it. That's the opening song. So it's a pretty different way to open the album for King. I mean, obviously on this album, Memoirs, we had Kill 'Em All, which was one of their biggest songs, which was also very heavy, and that was about sort of, just the violence in Flint and gangs and guns and, very, very violent stuff. On the follow-up to that album, The Petite Mort, we have Heavy Lies the Crown, and that's sort of an intro, effectively, I saw that as. That's sort of a 2-minute intro that's very, very heavy, very down-tuned, and then that goes into Alpha and Omega, which was another heavy song. So King likes to open albums with heavy songs, and I really love that. I think that's a great way to open a King album. On the previous 2 albums, I think they've opened the albums with the heavy songs, and then the sort of more experimental ones come later, and I think that works really well. One thing I love about King is the pacing of the albums, and I feel like these albums are supposed to be listened to as sort of one continuous thing. Even though they're not concept albums as such, like telling a continuous story, I feel like the songs just work perfectly as one continuous thing, especially Le Petite Mort, but because some of the tracks on the Petite Mort towards the end, I feel like if you listen to them by themselves, they seem a bit out of context. For example, Me and Maxine, maybe Wolves Run Together as well. I think if you listen to those tracks individually, they're not bad tracks, they're pretty good. When you hear them as part of the album, they seem much better. They feel like just part of this amazing story that David's able to take you through. Same on Memoirs of a Murderer. I mean, the spoken word pieces, I mean, they sound a lot better in context. Same with tracks like Carve My Name. Sound a lot better when it's played as one continuous thing. And that's the reason I liked these albums, is because I listened to them a lot, really loudly in one. And I mean, I'm going to be doing the same when Suicide King comes out. Yeah, I'll probably listen to it in the gym. Yeah, I'll probably listen to it out on walks. However, I mean, the day it comes out, I'm going to listen to it here, headphones on, or loudly, and just listen to it from start to finish, because that's the only way you can appreciate a King album, I think. And I think they're a band that's very, very easily taken out of context. I mean, if you heard this song as a single, this could be taken very much out of context, with the sort of theme of death going on. But I mean, their albums are supposed to be listened to as one. And I think the same about their EPs as well, especially Queen, the Queen EP, the more classical based one. But yeah, get back to the song. The opening to the new album, Suicide King, which is their third full-length album. I think this track's decent. It's different to King, sorry, it's different for King, and I feel like it will have to take me more listens to grow on me. But it is a decent enough track. It's definitely got me hyped to hear the new King album, because I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with it. They can really take this album anywhere. They're in that position. Obviously, people are going to expect heavier tracks, which this album's going to have, clearly, because we've just heard one. But, I mean, I'm curious to see what the more sort of diverse tracks are like, how they mix it up, if there is any, see where King go with it. Because they're a band that, even though they've sort of got their core sound, they're able to mix it up often. They're able to try new things and incorporate new sounds all the time. And I hope this album continues to build on that. But this track, it's decent. It'll be a decent opening to the album. It's got a very cool intro that, it's quite unique. It really builds up. It's got a massive sound, heavy chorus, very new metal vibe going on. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's got the spoken word, sort of aggressive vocals in the verses, which complement the really heavy chorus, I think. This track is decent. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. And I'm curious to see where the album goes. I'm excited for hearing it. I'm really excited to hear it, actually, because I'm a big fan of the other two, so I'm curious to see where King are going to go with it. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we finally get a new King music. I say finally, it hasn't actually been that long, but it's just seemed like such a long wait, because of people leaving the band and everything. And I mean, I fell in love with the Petite Mort, and when it came out, or about a month after it came out, and I then became a big King fan. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing this new album. So thank you for watching. This was something very new for me. I mean, I haven't done a review in a while, so I was a bit rusty. But I've never done one of these sort of reviews of a single track before. So, hell, maybe this video was shit. If it was, then whatever. It was worth a try. But I think that, being as I was hoping to record today anyway, and then they dropped this track yesterday, this was just a good way to get back into things again, talking about the new track. So yeah, when the new album comes out, end of January, I'll be here reviewing it. It'll probably be one of my first reviews of the year. So yeah, I'm excited for it. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe. I usually do full-length album reviews, but I mean, if you want me to do more individual new track reviews, then I'm down for it. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the support. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.